Morning, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much, honourable members. At least I'm audible.
Good morning. Good morning, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, before proceeding with the work of this committee, okay, good. Honourable members, before proceeding with the work of this committee, I must address an incident which occurred in this forum in its last meeting. Members will recall that we discussed the matter of when the President would return to the House to reply to outstanding oral questions from the 30th of August. In this regard, I reported to you that in light of previous discussions, I consulted the relevant office bearers who had determined that in accordance with the President would reply to the outstanding questions on the 26th of September. During the discussion, I allowed all members who wish to speak an opportunity to do so. Given the prominence of the matter, I deemed it appropriate for members to clarify and restate their positions if necessary. Thereafter, having noted the different views, I concluded the discussion. At this point, however, Honorable Shivambu insisted that he be recognized again. Honorable Mkalipi also interjected to this end. As the chairperson, I explained that the matter was closed and appealed to members to allow the committee to proceed with its agenda. The members continued to disregard my authority, and I consequently had to order that they be removed from the online platform. Honorable members, given the events I have outlined, I regret that we need to be reminded of our obligations. We are all elected by the people. It is for this reason that we are required to act with restraint and respect and treat one another honorably. If we cannot engage on this basis, if we refuse to be orderly and resort to interjections, name calling and insult, Parliament and by implication democracy will deteriorate. As the Speaker, honorable members, it is my duty to provide all parties a fair opportunity to participate in the assembly. But I must, in doing so, ensure that they do so within the ambit of the rules. At the same time, whips have a responsibility to promote the standing and decorum of the House. In this regard, I would request the Chief Whips Forum to agree on how, as a collective, we can work and cooperate in the interest of the people of South Africa. Specifically, I would request that the whips discuss the challenges with members interjecting and insisting on speaking without being recognized. Whether it be to raise a point of order in the House or otherwise, we all wish to have our voices heard, but our rights cannot be unfettered and interfere with the business of Parliament. Honorable members, having made these remarks and appeal, I wish to proceed, therefore, with the business before us. Honorable members, are there any apologies?
Madam Speaker, we have received apology of Dr. Mulder and House Chairperson Dombeck. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Zakute, yes?
Yes, I have an apology of the Chief Whip of the Majority Party who received some sad news yesterday. She lost her brother. The message came while she was in the House, but she decided to sit until it was adjourned. So she has a bereavement, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm sure all of you will agree that I should pass our condolences on behalf of the programming committee to the chief whip in person, to her family, and to hopefully we will be informed about when the funeral will be held, knowing that the chief whip is somebody who has been all over burying our own members. It would therefore be of interest to hear when she'll be burying the brother. Deepest condolences. May the soul of his brother rest in eternal peace. Honorable members, we then proceed. Those were the apologies. May we now consider the agenda before us. Okay. May somebody move for that? Oh, Siviwe, Honorable Siviwe.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I wanted to just raise an urgent matter which has been referred to the NAPC about the scheduling of a mini plenary debate. I don't know if that will be considered under the program or you want that to have a separate agenda item, but I just thought, let me just raise it just at the beginning of the meeting.
Well, that matter will be discussed when Honorable Ms. Lisuma presents the parliamentary program. Okay, thank you very much. Honorable members, may someone move for the adoption of the agenda?
Sheikh Imam Chair, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sheikh Imam. We now consider the...
I second, Honorable Speaker. I second the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you, Honorable Zagude. Thank you. We then proceed to look at the minutes, consider the minutes of the 8th of September. Okay, those are the minutes. Okay. Thank you very much. Honorable members, can someone move for the adoption of the minutes?
Honorable Speaker, I move for adoption. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Singh. Any seconder? Honorable Zagude.
I second, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Zagude. Honorable members, we now proceed to consider matters arising from the minutes. Honorable Mr. Castle.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
I would like to deal with two items. The one is about the socio-economic impact study. That matter has since been dealt with in the Chief Whips Forum. The presentation was done. So that one for now has been taken care of. The second one that I would like to deal with is the scheduling of supplementary questions to the President. We would like to remind one of the members that we did circulate the draft resolution on the 7th, I think, last week, given that we didn't meet last week. So the resolution was circulated, and the idea is to schedule it for next week, Tuesday. That's on the issue of questions to the President. And the last one, Madam Speaker will guide me whether I should deal with it, the Section 89 motion, or maybe Speaker would like me to do that. So.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Castle. Honorable members, on the ATM motion, you'll recall that we then decided that we will establish a panel of 3 eminent people, fit and proper persons with legal background who will deal with the matter. people who will then look at whether in fact, with regards to the facts before them, whether there's any case for an investigation by an ad hoc committee of parliament. We then allowed for all parties to submit names to the speaker, to parliament. And subsequently to that, we received 17 names. And the 17 names were then put before the speaker. I then looked into the names. And of course, before that process started, I then requested a Parliament Office of Mr. Castle to check availability of all those who had been nominated to serve in the panel. Regrettably, honorable members, quite a number of the people you nominated were not available. They were not available to serve on the panel, either because people had prior engagements, prior commitments. Others were simply not available and had their own programs planned during this time. So subsequently to that, I nominated a panel of 3. The panel of 3 consists of Judge Ngobo as chair, Judge Masipa, Thokozile Masipa, and Professor Kalland. And of course, before you appoint judges, even though retired, one had to still write a letter to Chief Justice Zondo, who responded promptly and advised that the 2 judges could serve. Now, a problem then arose later. I received a letter which expresses discomfort about the appointment of Professor Kalland. And subsequently to that, I received a letter also from the Democratic Alliance raising the same matter. So at this point, we are sitting with 2 parties who are uncomfortable with the appointment of Professor Kalland. But then I also received, sometime during the weekend, a letter on Monday from Good Party, who are the ones who had nominated Professor Kalland, who were motivating for Professor Kalland's continued serving on the panel. And I've considered the letters from the 2, the objections from the DA and the EFF. Honorable members, I've subjected that to legal scrutiny. I requested that I be given a legal advice as to how to handle such a matter, because by the time all these matters did arise, I had already appointed Professor Kalland, and I had even written a letter to him informing him about it. Legal opinion came back yesterday. The legal team have received that opinion yesterday. I am now studying that opinion, and within the next 24 hours or so, you will hear what the way forward will be. But I am at a point where I am now reading the legal opinion. The legal opinion arrived, I think it was on my desk late afternoon yesterday. So thank you very much, honorable members. I thought I should inform you. And I also thought those who had written to the Office of the Speaker with regards to this particular matter, that you should be comfortable to know that at least something is being done about it. I have to make sure that everything I do is by the book and in terms of the law. So I will then, once I've completed studying the legal opinion, I will then take a decision on the matter. That is where we are, honorable members, with regards to that issue. I see the hand of Honorable Shakude.
Thank you very much, Madam. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. We welcome that report by yourself. We will await that time when you are done with studying that legal opinion. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Honorable Shakude. Honorable Mkalipi.
Speaker, I hope today we are not going to check me out of the meeting. I didn't want to comment on your opening remarks regards to that, because we know, Speaker, that we have always raised.
Don't go back then. We've passed that one. We are now at a point when we are dealing with this.
You see, Speaker, your behavior sometimes it shocked me. I'm just passing. I'm doing my remarks passing. Speaker, I'm not saying you must respond. Speaker, on the matter that you are speaking about now, I just want to get few clarities. Letters were written to you. You are busy studying the legal report or advice. Are you going to respond in writing to those political parties you mentioned? And then that's one. Secondly, when is this panel is expected to start their work? Just remind us here. The third question is, we are saying that out of 17 names that were forwarded to you, among 17 names, some of the people who were proposed were not available. So my question is, the 3 that you took a decision to nominate them, are only 3 people who were available, or you use your discretion to nominate those 3 among 17, including those who were not available to take the task that were nominated to? And then I want to get that clarity, Speaker, then.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mkalipi. Honorable Zungula.
Morning, colleagues. Mama, mandikhumbuze ngozungula, not uzungula.
I'm sorry, Honorable Zungula. I'm not trying to be funny or rude. Honestly, I hope you'll understand that. Okay, thank you very much for correcting me. Thank you.
Yes.
Zungula.
Yes, thank you. I just have a few questions of clarity. The first question relates to what similarly Honorable Mkalipi has just asked, in the sense that given the fact that you wrote to the 3 panel members, is that now a confirmation that they had already started to work, or what is happening? So if you can just put us in the picture as where is the process in terms of them starting to work, the estimated time in which they should finish the report. The second thing is, should it happen that the legal opinion is not for Professor Kalan to continue serving on the panel, will you come back, ask members for input, or you will choose amongst the nominees that were available? I've got only those 2. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Zungula. Honorable Imam Sheikh, followed by Honorable Ntlangwini.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just thought I'll make a comment, Honorable Speaker. You know, this is a very, very important inquiry, and I want to thank you for giving timeous attention to it. However, we don't want the inquiry and the integrity of it to be in question. And given the fact that the one candidate, Professor Kalan, has made repeated statements in the media and things in support of the president, you know, it questions his independence and objectivity. I just want you to take that into consideration, that we don't have greater difficulty later that somebody's going to question the integrity of this inquiry and whether it was objective and independent. Thank you. I'll just stop there.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sheikh Imam. Honorable Ntlangwini, Honorable Kwangwa, you will be the last one. Honorable Singh, you will be the last one after Honorable Kwangwa. And we close the matter of the panel, and I will allow Mr. Kaso to respond to some of the issues raised, and yeah, we may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to agree with the Honorable Mkalipi. If we can perhaps just get also a list of a list of all of the explanations of the people that have said they are available and not available. If we can get that list, and then second to that, Speaker, if we can also perhaps
Okay, Honorable Ntangwini, you are not here anymore now. Honorable Kwangwa.
Speaker, thank you very much. Thank you very much. No. My question was, since most of the concerns that have been raised by the two political parties and other people who might not have made submissions to you, centered around information that was in the public domain. My question is, did then you, in the process of trying to make the final determination as to who was going to constitute the panel of people who are going to help us, did Parliament not do even if it was a limited to some extent background check to avoid such delays and avoid such embarrassments? I'm just trying to find out, because I think if that had been done beforehand, we would not be sitting with this challenge today to check whether indeed the people that we are going to nominate finally to serve in the panel did not cause some difficult situations for you and Parliament.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kwangwa. Honorable Singh.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and good morning, colleagues. You see, Honorable Speaker, the kind of questions we are asking now, generally all of us, brings into question, the terms of reference and the authority of the Speaker. And I think this is something we have to look at moving forward. In terms of Section 89 appointments, according to what we have now, we send in nominations, the Speaker decides. And there is no other provision for us to say anything about it. And I think we have to include some of those provisions because there are legitimate concerns. But I believe that if anybody has any concern about any member of the three, then perhaps you should give those parties some time, the next 24 hours or so, to write into you. Because I did hear Mr. Sheikh saying, well, they have concerns about a certain member of the panel. But I think saying it on this platform and putting it substantively in writing to you for you to consider are two different things. So that's what I would suggest, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Singh. Honorable Ntangwini, I see you are back.
Thank you very much, Speaker. My apologies for that. Yeah, as I was saying, Honorable Speaker, if we can also maybe perhaps be taken in confidence, what is the excuses of the other nominees that was put forward by other political parties, that they were not available or unavailable, if we can get that. And then second to that, it was I wanted to make a similar proposal that the Honorable Singh have said, that we need to have a process that whereby we can also be taken into confidence as to what process is Speaker following to nominate these judges, so that we don't have queries by the end of the day that we are sitting now with an individual that is still going to be obviously totally biased and has showed himself on several platforms where his loyalties lies. And then the last point to that, Speaker, is that it's quite concerning that Speaker have already given appointment letters prior to the even bringing it to bodies of Parliament. I would have taken, if you have asked people for nominations,
and say, please nominate some candidates to sit on this panel, one would have taken on this platform prior to come and tell us and say, look, this is the 3 candidates that I as speaker have taken. And for us not to see this things within the media and people is already having appointment letters. I think we should take this process with all the importance that it is, and not make a mockery of it. And for now, it has been made a mockery on the biasness of the panelists that have been appointed. So we'll be waiting on your legal opinion, Speaker, and hopefully your legal experts have look into the matter correctly, and South Africans will be taken into confidence as to getting the right panelists to get the process a free and fair and not a bias as a process as it would be now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Langwin. Honorable Frolik, I had closed the matter, but I would allow you to comment before I allow Mr. Kaso to respond.
No, Speaker. No, thank you, Speaker, and good morning, honorable members. No, Speaker, really, while one follow the arguments of the perceived bias and all that coming from the honorable members, I think this is a matter that should go to the subcommittee on rules, because the Speaker is acting within the current rules. The rules are clear as to how the process is, and if there are any gaps, I think, Speaker, we should encourage political parties to come up with proposals to be considered by the Rules Committee ultimately. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Frolik. Mr. Kaso.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, ma'am. I will attempt to respond to most, if not all, of the issues that have been raised. Certainly, the Speaker will respond to the parties that have made submissions. One speaker has considered the advice that she is getting at the moment. The start date for the panel will be determined in consultation with the panelists, because it's also subject to the conclusion of a service level agreement, which must be concluded between the panelists and Parliament. And of course, the objections that were received have somewhat delayed that process. But as soon as that process is concluded, then that date will be negotiated with the panelists. In terms of who is available, apart from the ones that have been appointed, we'll make that list available, honorable members. Parties have asked us for the list and made it available. We'll make it available for those that have not received the list. When will the panel start? I think, Honorable Sungula, we have dealt with that matter of when the panel will start. And again, when before Speaker made the appointments, due diligence was conducted, and to the extent possible, and then Speaker did make the appointments. Of course, issues have since been raised, and Speaker is seeking a legal advice on the issue. So the legal opinion is being studied, honorable members. I've responded to the Honorable Fangwini. The list of those who are available will make that available. And of course, we may not be able to go to the details of what the reasons were, but the fact is that people indicated that they were not available. And Honorable asked about the issue of due diligence, and indeed that was conducted. But as I say, because objections have since been raised, the matter is being dealt with. In terms of reference of and authority of the Speaker, honorable members, we just want to indicate this is not happening for the first time. Of course, the circumstances were different. It was in relation to Section 194, but the processes are really similar, and therefore the steps that Speaker has followed are in terms of the rules, strictly in terms of the rules. There is certainly no provision there for Speaker to subject her intention to appoint to a structure of Parliament. So what Speaker has done has been done in terms of the rules of Parliament. Thank you so much, Speaker. I think I've dealt with all the questions that have been raised.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaso. Honorable members, one of the observations I've made through this process is that a number of people who you nominated, right, indeed did not avail themselves. They were not available to serve in the panel for whatever reasons. But I also observed that parties did not even alert their own nominees that they would be nominated or they would be approached to serve in this panel. A number of those who were nominated were completely taken by surprise when we approached them to establish whether they would be able to serve or not. In fact, I am happy that I could actually ask the team, like Mr. Kaso, to call everybody, send emails to everybody just to check availability, so that by the time I appoint the team, at least I now had a list of people who would be available to serve. So giving me a list of 17 actually wasn't going to help me without first checking availability. Now, once that had happened, I must say that the list was even smaller, very short list, and therefore a few names to select from. I have no doubt in my mind that the candidates one selected are fit and proper persons, are people who are knowledgeable legally, and are people whose integrity is unquestionable. However, the matter, in fact, due diligence was conducted, honorable members. I do not know how it happened. Please allow me to finish. Honorable Lisuma, please. Thank you. Due diligence was conducted on all the candidates. It was just unfortunate that the team from Parliament did not pick up this particular challenge, which has been raised by both the EFF and the Democratic Alliance. In fact, the issue at hand with regards to Professor was that indeed he's a legal person, but secondly, indeed, he's an independent commentator, right? And therefore, he is somebody who really you wouldn't say has challenges in terms of how he does his work. However, the issue raised are the specific comments which he has raised with regards to the president. And one has listened to that. I could have been tempted to quickly withdraw the name of Professor Kala once I received those two letters. But I decided to follow the processes by way of putting that to test legally, what the implications are going to be in the event we remove or even keep Professor Kala on the panel. And that legal opinion has since come back, honorable members. And of course, I will act on the advice which has been given to me. And the second part of the opinion which I requested was whether we could go out again for a week or so to receive 5 days to receive names for people to fill in the third vacancy on the panel. And I am aware now that already that one has been responded to and an advice has been given, which is that no, the speaker should go back to the available names. We have about 3 names of people left now who had expressed willingness to serve when approached, and who therefore we will look at those 3 and select from those 3. I thank Mr. Kaso for clarifying this matter, which is that, honorable members, in terms of your rules, which you established in 2018, this specific rule, it does not say that having been given the short list of names of 15, you then select the 3 and go back to the political parties. It doesn't say that at all. In fact, if there's anything I'm very upset about, is the fact that parties could not do the basic of things which they ought to have done, which is that when you nominate a person to serve on a panel such as this one, you would have obviously gone back to the person and say, you know what, we've nominated you. Parliament may contact you. Will you please indicate availability, or even before you nominate, to check with the person, if we can possibly nominate you for this, would you be available? Because it was, for me, it was very disappointing to find that a list of 17 people would end up with about 7, 8 people who are available to serve on the panel. But despite that, I am very confident and I am very certain that the 3 candidates who I chose from the list of available nominees is a credible list. The only issue is the fact that, and no one can question the integrity of the panelists. And I'm happy that no one has questioned the integrity of the panelists. What has happened is that people have questioned the independence of Professor Khaled by virtue of statements which he himself has made. So in view of that, honorable members, I will be making a pronouncement, perhaps even no later than tomorrow, about what we are going to do, but also replacement of Professor Khaled. And I will not come back to the parties because there is nothing which provides for that. It simply says we give you a short list of 15, and once given the short list of 15, the speaker picks 3 fit and proper persons from that list, and that is what I have done. And in doing so, I exercised my mind. I did everything. I am very much clear in my mind that the choice of Judge Ngobo, who is a former Chief Justice, was a very good decision. The choice of Judge Masipa was a very good decision in my view. The choice of Professor Khaled, for me, there is nothing questioning his integrity. The only thing which is a problem right now, which is before us, is the comments which he has made in the course of doing his independent commentary work. And therefore, I will come back. In fact, you will hear, I will look at as I'm saying now, I've been busy with even early hours of the morning, I was still studying this legal opinion, because I want to make sure that I do not commit mistakes along the way. You will hear by tomorrow what happens. The point is, we cannot delay this process any further. The rules give the panel exactly 30 days within which they should complete their work and submit to the speaker. May I also remind honorable members that this panel is not meant to conduct an investigation. It is meant to peruse, to look at all the information before them and make a determination whether there is a need for further investigation of those matters or not. The panel is not the one to investigate. The panel is not conducting an investigation. If there is a need for an investigation, we will then put together an ad hoc committee. So this is just a panel to evaluate information before them, or even information which is out there in the public. Because sometimes I get a sense that people are confusing this panel of 3 to the actual investigation of the events. So honorable members, you will hear from us. You will hear, once we've done with this, we should be done by 12 o'clock today. I'm looking into this thing. And once it has been done, we will then we will make the announcement. Thank you very much, honorable members. I'm done with that, honorable members, and allow us to proceed to other matter. Or Honorable Mkalipi, you have a hand up, is it?
Yeah.
Or is it an
Yes, Speaker. No, I have a hand as a follow-up on what we asked before we got responses from you and Babu Kaso. I didn't hear exactly when are we supposed to have this panel starting its job. That's the second one. While you are listening to explanation, Speaker, we must take into consideration two matters. One, the chairperson of Section 194. I think we have raised it with you. The way he is conducting himself in that committee of ad hoc, it needs to be interrogated. It needs to be investigated by your office. And when we wrote to you to say that we feel that he is not neutral.
Point of order. Point of order.
Honorable Speaker.
Okay, all right. Okay, guys. Okay. Honorable Papo.
Speaker, we were discussing a matter of the finalization of a panel.
Yeah.
Matter is now smuggled off 194, which we are not even aware of, a letter or so on. That's wrong for us to be done that way.
Thank you, Honorable Papo. You've raised your point of order. Honorable members, I was just about to say so. Honorable Mkalipi, the point you are raising has absolutely nothing with what we are currently doing. Can we please finish this particular discussion? One of the things which I had requested the office of Mr. Kaso, he will respond to that, to do last week already, was to circulate. I wanted him to circulate the list of people, the list of names you nominated, so that everybody is privy to the names which were submitted for this panel. The question is when should the panel should have started working last week already. So once we resolve this issue of the third person, the panel will start its work. Thank you very much.
Speaker, may I proceed? I have not finished. I just respected you. And then you said I must stop, and then I stopped, and then you took a point of order. I have not finished.
No, because Honorable Kalipi, you entered into another conversation on a different matter.
Speaker, can I finish?
Finish.
Then you roll up, I finish, Speaker. And then, Speaker, please protect us. I can't be, when I still on the platform, people does not raise their hand.
Honorable Kalipi, please, that's not the issue we are discussing. Honorable Papo raised a point of order, and he was correct.
He must raise his hand, Speaker, as we are doing. As we are doing, raise hands. Not to be shouted like I'm not a child to them.
Okay.
Speaker,
Honorable Tlangweni, continue.
Yes. Speaker, I'm saying that I think that you must look at it because it's also compromise that Section 194, the conduct of the chair. I'm passing. The second thing, Speaker, as we are saying that you are waiting for the legal opinion. But to me, Speaker, is not a legal opinion. It needs a political decision. So you must merit the two, legal and political decision. But I will wait for your decision as from tomorrow. Because I don't know why people are saying that I'm out of order if I'm raising what is happening in Section 194, because it's one and the same thing. And there's a judgment according to this case in the court as well. So listen to that, Dibana, Speaker. You can't be telling me how to speak on the issues. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Honorable members, I know it's political. It's easy to say that it requires a political decision, correct. Obviously, I followed the legal route. I've put this matter to test legally and will take a political decision on the basis of the legal opinion that shall have been provided to me. And I said by 12 o'clock, we should know exactly which way to go. By end of today, you'll know what the way forward is. The issue for me is the process should not be delayed. The sooner we get done with this, the better for all of us, honorable members. Honorable Mr. Kaso, would you please take us through the, I see Honorable Tlangweni. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Speaker. If I was Comrade Hope, I will focus on my 24 numbers.
No,
But nevertheless, Speaker, let's leave the number 24.
Point of order. You see, Speaker, point of order.
Let's leave the 24. Let's leave,
Point of
can
order. Point of order. I've raised the point of order.
Raise your hand. Don't
It's
just
24 now, out of order, Speaker. It's the number 24 out of order.
Honorable members, Honorable
No,
Mtangwini.
I want you to rule on number 24.
No,
Is it out
Honorable
of order?
Mtangwini, you are out of order.
To say
You
number
are-
24, Speaker.
I am
To say
saying
number
you are out of
24.
order. That's not, we're not discussing
Ebana.
numbers. We're not discussing numbers.
To say
We're
number
not
24,
discussing numbers.
Speakers. So now we are banned to say number 24 in Parliament.
I'm now throwing you out of the system.
Yeah,
Mbanga.
I still want to speak.
Mbanga, will you please remove Honorable
To say
Mtangwini?
number 24, it's unparliamentary now.
Mbanga, will you please remove Honorable Mtangwini from the system? I'm not going to be arguing with you on frivolous matters in a programming committee. You are out. Honorable Muroto.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I just want us to proceed with the meeting because that the issues that are being raised here shows the gaps, as it was said before by both Honorable Frolik and Mr. Kaso, that there are gaps maybe within the rules that members feel that they should be there. Even Honorable Singh talked about that. So the processes that you followed are correct. You have explained, Speaker, we agree to the processes that you are taking, and let's proceed. Secondly, Speaker, the issue of programming meeting has got its own mandate. And maybe we should even look at the composition of who should be in the programming meeting. I think these rules are being flouted in a way. So that is why we waste time, because we have maybe more people that are not even supposed to be in that meeting, except if they replace somebody. So that thing must be looked into. And now I just propose that we proceed with the meeting we have concluded. You have given remarks, you have done all in as far as the issue of the panel is concerned. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, you are muted, ma'am.
Honorable Muroto. Thank you very much, Honorable Muroto. Honorable Papo, I would like you to give you an opportunity to speak, but I don't want you to go back to the issue I've ruled on.
I was saying that in the last meeting, you said you were going to make a ruling at some point because I had raised the issue of this story of 24 votes and so on. So I respected, that's why I called the point of order, because in the minute is clear.
Thank you. The story of the 24 votes was raised in the chamber, the National Assembly, and I will make a ruling in the National Assembly, not in the programming committee. Thank you. Now we then proceed. We're done with matters arising. Am I correct, honorable members?
You're correct, ma'am.
Yes, we're done with matters arising. We now proceed to receive a report from Advocate Tau.
Good morning, Madam Speaker, honorable members and colleagues. Our report starts at slide number 4. On this slide, the Cannabis for Private Purposes Bill has been sent to the House of Traditional Leaders and Khoisan Leaders, and the National Health Insurance Bill before PC on Health. The committee reviewed the finalization on the 7th to a later date. The next update is on slide number 5. On this slide, the following bills has been finalized: Fundraising Amendment Bill, Economic Regulation Transport Bill, and National Road Traffic Amendment Bill. And the PC on transport has postponed the public hearings for the fourth quarter on Transport Appeal Tribunal Amendment Bill. Next slide, so slide number 6. On this slide, the PC on Forestry, Fisheries and Economic Environment will have public hearings from the 30th of September to the 2nd of October on National Field and Forest Fires Amendment Bill. And the PC on Justice and Correctional Services have finalized the Land Court Bill. And the Gas Amendment Bill that was before PC on Mineral Resources and Energy has been withdrawn in accordance with National Assembly Rule 334. The next update is on slide number 7. On this slide, the railway safety bill before PC on transport, the committee decided to have public hearings in various provinces during the month of November. Slide number 8. On this slide, PC on transport has finalized the National Land Transport Amendment Bill. Slide number 10. On this slide, the PC on transport has advertised the bill, that is Marine Pollution Amendment Bill. The closing date for public submissions is the 1st of October.
That became part of the conversation that fed into the ultimate.
Slide number 11. On this slide, the PC on communications and digital technologies decided to adopt the report on South African Post Bank Limited Amendment Bill during the next term. Slide number 12. On this slide, the PC on police has decided to finalize the bill on protection of constitutional democracy against terrorists and related matters at a future date. Slide number 13. The PC on Justice and Correctional Services has finalized the Drug and Drug Trafficking Amendment Bill. Slide number 17. On this slide, we just show the revised program of ad hoc Joint Committee on Flood Disaster Relief and Recovery. The dates are indicated. Slide number 18. On this slide, the PC on Women, Youth, and Persons with Disability has decided to finalize the filling of vacancies to the 27th of September due to the parliamentary program. Slide number 18, slide number 19, sorry. On this slide, the PC on Basic Education has finalized the petition from the community of Siekwigat VGK Primary School. This concludes our report, Madam Speaker.
Request Honorable Frolic to assist.
No, thank you, Mr. Tasso, and thank you, Advocate Tao, for the report. I will now invite questions of clarity or interventions. I see the hand of the Honorable Nkalipi.
Yeah, thank you
Please
very much.
proceed.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I want to raise a concern here. Advocate Tao has been acting since 2020 or as head of committees. So I want to know, when are we going to advertise for the position? Because this is very important. And I believe that 2020 to 22 is a very long time. having someone acting on the position of this important nature on committees, because it means that committees will be affected if we don't have a stable person who is doing the job. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I'll ask Mr. Klaasho to respond to that. I know that post was advertised. I don't know where the process is. But before Mr. Klaasho do so, I invite Dr. Koornhof.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just want to ask a question of one of the bills listed, and that is a drugs and trafficking amendment bill. I'm told that this bill was finalized yesterday after the oral submissions on the 20th, and whether this bill will be scheduled for debate in the third term. Thank you.
Okay, Advocate Tau, can you clarify the question asked by the Honourable Dr. Koornhof? But we are going to get to the program, Dr. Koornhof, and scheduling is part of that process. The committees do not engage in the programming process. The Honourable Soma will assist us later to reply to that question. Mr. Advocate Tau, and thereafter Mr. Klaasho.
Yeah, thank you, House Chair Frolic. Indeed, it is the programming whip and her team that will decide when to take the matter to the House. But what we need to do on our side is to make sure that the report is on ATC.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Klaasho.
We need just to confirm that the post was indeed advertised, and we are working on ensuring that the post is filled, and that's receiving our attention. Indeed, there have been delays, but it's a matter that is receiving our attention. It is not the intention that we should continuously have acting people where it is possible to fill a post. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I think we need a report, at least as the chairperson of committees in the National Assembly and the chairperson of committees in the NCOP, the Honourable Yambi. We need a report on this because the previous incumbent who was permanently appointed, Mr. Chabalala, have left that post in 2018 already. And to take 4 years to fill such a strategic post have consequences for the committee section. And we need to expedite this process so that, but follow all the necessary prescripts so that we can have a permanent appointee in that post. The Honourable Kalipi is absolutely correct. It doesn't create stability in the committee section when you have vacancies and people acting for such a long time. Are there any other interventions? The Honourable Asoma.
Thank you very much, Chair. While I agree with you, I was not going to speak because it was not on the agenda. While I agree with Honourable Kalipi on that space, probably at this level also we can request the Financial Management Joint Standing Committee to look at those issues and get a comprehensive report instead of picking one. That's one, notwithstanding that your response. But two, also to get a report in terms of the intentions. One has noticed that in the front table, there are various young persons that are also working there, so that also we can appreciate that we are also taking in the internships in the legal space. Thank you very much, Chair, which is a good work, by the way. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. There's no further interventions. I see the end of Honourable Kalipi again.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair, for your very progressive response in that regard. So I agree with you, Chair. Let us get a report. We can't manage to have a permanent position which is being acted on for 4 years. It's unacceptable. This is a very strategic position and it deals with committees, and then the effect you get it from the committee when you're a committee member. That's why we have to raise it here, because we know what the Advocate who has been acting. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, honourable members. We'll move on with the agenda and we'll get to the report from Legal Services.
Good morning, Honourable Chairperson and honourable members. On our report, we have updates on slides 2 and 6. We'll start with slide 2. On the list of legislation currently before Parliament, distributed together with this report, on section A, it shows that there are now 11 bills on the order paper. 6 of the 11 bills were reported on following our previous meeting. My colleague Advocate Dow has already listed the bills, so I won't repeat them, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chairperson, we are aware that the Committee on Public Service reported on the Public Administration Laws General Amendment Bill late last night, and also the PC on Justice reported on the Drugs and Drug Trafficking Amendment Bill. These changes will be reflected when we distribute our reports tomorrow afternoon, and the number of bills on the order paper is now 13, not 11. The next update is on slide number 5. This slide indicates that 2 bills were recently passed by Parliament and one sent. The other one is to be sent to the President for assent. The traditional courts was sent to the President with its second official translation as isiZulu. And the Compensation of Occupational Injuries and Diseases Amendment Bill is to be sent to the President, and its second official language is Afrikaans. And the total number of bills sent for assent is now 5. With your permission, Honorable Chair, may I hand over to my colleague, Advocate van der Merwe, to give updates on Constitutional Court judgments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Advocate van der Merwe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Froelich, and good morning to all the members. Yeah, so I first want to give an update that is not on the slides, and I apologize for that, but the judgment only came out yesterday, and we're still studying the judgment. But I would like to alert the committee to it. It's the matter of Blind SA versus Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition. And it deals with copyright and making copyrighted material available to persons with disabilities, specifically in this case, related to seeing and accessing books for persons with seeing disabilities. And I can just confirm that the Copyright Amendment Bill that served before the National Assembly and is now before the Select Committee in the NCOP has addressed the issue of disability, but our office will study the judgment and make sure that the bill does in fact deal with everything that the court has indicated in that judgment. So if I can then proceed to the slides and give feedback on progress. These matters only relate to those where there will be a gap in the law. We have also had a report circulated on all the matters where there are Constitutional Court suspensive orders. In respect of Amabungani Centre, which affects the Regulation of Interception of Communications Act, the department has confirmed that it already has a draft bill that is being consulted on. They are, however, considering to sever certain aspects of the bill to only deal with the Constitutional Court judgment, as it seems to them that the total review of this act might be taking too long. I can also confirm that this Department of Justice has confirmed that they will in future be bringing these bills to Parliament in at least half the time that the court allows to give Parliament sufficient time. Drugs and Drug Trafficking Act, I don't want to say too much on that. It's been reported on already, but just to confirm that there is a deadline on this in December. And in fact, it is now on the order paper for second reading in the National Assembly. On the next slide, if we can proceed to the next slide, we deal with the Correctional Services Act. This matter also has a deadline in December. We have been dealing with the department directly, and I have received confirmation this morning that they are meeting with their council tomorrow and that there will be an application for an extension. The challenge that the department is experiencing is not something that has to do with processing. It is something that has to deal with the setting up of an entity and the measures that National Treasury requires for that and is envisaging for that. And it seems that there's a bit of a conflict at the moment. So our office has also requested an opportunity to brief the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Justice to just explain these challenges, and perhaps the committee can see if they can assist in releasing that deadlock between Department of Correctional Services and National Treasury so that this bill can proceed. But at this point in time, I can confirm that an extension application is being prepared. And then on the Electoral Act, just to indicate that the permission was granted to the committee to extend the scope of the bill to amend other sections of the Act. That has been advertised. Other material amendments were also advertised. That call for comments has been made, it has been considered by the committee, and the committee will then be, as I understand, on Friday, be addressed by legal services with feedback on those submissions, whereafter it will continue deliberations and hopefully finalize the bill. That is it. Thank you very much.
Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Frolik, I thought you were still on the system.
No, Speaker, I am still on the system. I can continue if you so wish.
Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you for the report from the legal services section. I will now invite questions of clarity or emphasis of matter. I see the hands of the Honorable Kalipi and the Honorable Hendricks, as well as the Honorable Swart. In that order, please, the Honorable Kalipi.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to get a clarity. South African Reserve Bank Amendment Bill by President of EFF in August 2018, it was revived after 2019. Why is this bill not moving, Chair? If I can get a clarity from those who are reporting here.
Thank you, the Honorable Hendricks.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chair. Honorable House Chair, we know that there is a deadline to amend the Divorce Act and to amend the Marriage Act in regard to concerns raised especially by the Muslim community. We haven't, I expected to hear what progress has been made, because there's also constitutional deadlines for those two acts. It mustn't sound as if it's unimportant.
The Honorable Swart.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Speaker, colleagues. I just appreciate the input and the mechanisms that are now being put in place, where we've got constitutional court deadlines, particularly where there are no reading provisions or no measures to apply once that deadline is passed. And in particular, one needs to consider the Drugs and Drugs Trafficking Act, which was passed within a month, dealt with by the Justice Committee. I think, Chair, we need to just also be very aware where there are such issues relating to no reading provisions. The implications, if that act is not finalized and assented to by the 17th of December, are vast. So I just want to express appreciation. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you, Honorable Swart. I will now ask the legal services to respond to the questions and comments made by the three honorable members.
Thank you, Chair. In respect of the South African Reserve Bank Amendment Bill, unfortunately, I cannot comment on that. Committee support section will have to respond. The last that we know about it is that it is, in fact, before, I think, the Standing Committee on Finance, and it will have to be scheduled in that committee for consideration. In respect of the matter of Women's Legal Centre Trust dealing with the Marriage Act and the Divorce Act, it is in fact reported on in our report. The reason why it's not included in our presentation is because the report is still the same as the last time that we reported, but I can confirm that both the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development and the Department of Home Affairs is in a process of engaging each other. Home Affairs has developed a white paper on the matter. It was approved by Cabinet already. And I think at the previous occasion, we actually arranged for that to be distributed to members. The Department of Home Affairs also indicated that a specialist legislative drafter will be approached. Department of Justice also confirmed that they have brought in the South African Law Reform Commission, and that they have made sure that this matter has been allocated to 2 officials in that department to ensure that the deadline is in fact achieved. And then just from Mr. Swart's side, just thank you. I do think that the measures seem to be working. And cooperation from departments has also increased. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the replies, and we will follow this space very specifically. We had a meeting of chairpersons of committees yesterday, where some concerns were raised, and we asked for a report, especially in terms of certain other pieces of legislation as well, where there are bills on the order paper in front of committees, but there's very slow response from the relevant departments, and committees cannot thus move on some of those. It creates the impression that the committees are not doing their work, when in fact it requires timeliest responses from the department so that they can finalize their work. But we'll receive the report and we'll have it then dealt with at the appropriate time. We will now move on to the next item on the agenda, and that is the parliamentary program. The Honorable Lesoma.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and the Speaker and Chair of the meeting. And we will take through the committee on the program of week 26. However, Chair, if you may allow us just to talk to some issues that we thought that are important before we go to the program. Firstly, Chair, would like to register or just to remind the meeting or ourselves generally that in terms of the National Assembly Procedure Book 2014, as well as the amended NA rules, it is important that when we process the program, the draft program, we follow due processes, because we do that one through the chief whip of the majority party, but for the speaker who chairs the programming, National Assembly Programming Committee meeting. And I think it's important. I will tell you why I'm raising that this week, due to the request that was made to have a special meeting of the Chiefs Forum, then it also impacted in terms of time availability of time for the technical committee to process some of the issues as usual, so that at least when they get presented at any structure before it gets presented here, it has been looked at thoroughly and it's according to the rules of the National Assembly. So I thought I must just say that, Chair. Secondly, Chair, what would like to raise that, and with appreciation by Chair, Honorable Chair, that yesterday we were invited in your meeting of the chairs of the portfolio committees, and we highly appreciate that some of the matters that honorable members raised earlier on were also registered in your meeting yesterday. Chair, if I may proceed to say that we have received through Mr. Castle's office and the technical committee on Monday, it's not a request, a withdrawal of a motion for the mini plenary by the leader of the opposition party, the DA, or one of the motions, which I will just talk to it, which was sponsored by Mr. Honorable Powell, which was a draft resolution to establish, and which was replaced by a draft resolution on establishment of an ad hoc committee on the Palapala game farm matter. So the first point in my introductory remarks then try also to give light on those things, that at no way that the programming committee and the technical committee, even the Chiefs Forum, can confirm the program before it gets presented here. But however, I'll talk to it when I present the program itself. Safe to say that it's important that it must be on record that in Tuesday's Chiefs Forum on the same matter, when I was requested to present the draft program, from our side, we did register the late notification, which might temper the acceptable time for political parties to prepare for that debate. However, there was a strong concern that was raised in that meeting, and then it was left like that with no clear guidance what happens, notwithstanding the apology that was made by the Honorable Chief Whip of the opposition party. I must proceed, Chair, that we are on Thursday, which is week 25. that now I will talk to the program itself, that it's a, as it was circulated, that is a full virtual meeting of many plenaries, which will be run concurrently in terms of parallel. We've got 5 motions for debate. Then the one that I spoke to in terms of the first mini plenary on the motion number 1 is what we have put there, because we felt that it would be quite a challenge, that because there was no clear direction in terms of engagement, what we do. So we're mindful that if we put it, the one that has been replaced, which we did receive the letter, then might also, this meeting might have a challenge to say who authorized us or whatever, but allowing this meeting then to conclude the matter so that it's clear what happens at 14-hour, Chair. So I would not, for completeness, if I may, Chair, I will just read the motions. The one that all of us were aware of is the first one in the stream 1 is the sponsored by Honorable Powell, as I said, all on under the theme solutions to address the crisis of ongoing illegal land invasions in the Republic, which will run for 90 minutes, followed by the motion sponsored by Honorable Mutle under the need for a revised and strengthening regulatory environment to protect the territorial integrity of military and associated institutions. The second stream of mini plenary will be engaging on the motion sponsored by Honorable Magaqa of the ANC, building a state-led South African mixed economy with the participation of both public and private sectors to contribute towards a new trajectory on inclusive growth and to address the apartheid legacy of exclusion. All of them, they will run for 90 minutes. And then for on the same second stream will be a motion sponsored by Honorable Masango of the DA, solutions to address the worsening cost of living crisis in the Republic. And then the first reading that has been requested through the Office of the Speaker, which we did report 2 weeks back when we were presenting the report, it's scheduled to go to stream 2 under the Ajama, which is the first reading maintenance amendment bill 2022. It's a members bill, as it were. And of course, Chair, we must say that the mini plenaries are not meant to take any decisions. Then we'll go, Chair, before we go to week 26, Chair, if I may now also talk to some issues after appreciating the meeting of the chairs that we attended, that there were issues that were raised, which even this meeting talked to. One is the, 1 second, Chair, just 1 minute for me, if you may allow me. They were raised that we must consider. So we would like also to make a proposal after I've just tabled those issues, is the land expropriation bill, the international conventions, which is requested to be scheduled for, which is already scheduled for Tuesday, fortunately, and the drug trafficking bill and the land court bill. You will note, Chair, that some of these bills are also have got timelines in terms of the court deadlines, as it were. But we did register to the chair's meeting that even the chair of chairs spoke to that sometimes it's not the making of the committees, but we did encourage the chairs that they must make sure any issue that have got court deadlines and compliance also is important that is attended to on time, so that we don't overstress the last week when we're about to go for recess or constituent period. The other one, Chair, that we'd like to talk to that we have received from a relevant office is the request written to the Speaker for ANC have applied for a snap debate on trucks recent incidents, and they're requesting it to be debated next week, which is the week 26.
Can you move your slides because I follow what you're saying now?
No, it's not on the slide. So I'm talking to this so that when I go to the program, then members are mindful that there are issues that we have listened to that have been raised. You'll recall, without responding to Honorable Mkhaliphi, Chair, but some of the issues would not behave as if we didn't hear the meeting when earlier on we're discussing that it's important some of these matters to be scheduled, as it were. Even Mr. Tasso responded to. So I requested through you, Chair, just to repeat myself that may I talk to that before I talk to week 26? Okay, thank you very much. So we are proposing in week 26, Chair, if the meeting, noting that there was no time to follow due processes in terms of consultation, we are putting here before this meeting that if the meeting can consider a plenary sitting on Friday so that it accommodates some of the issues that are critical, that they need also section 76 bill that needs also to go to the NCOP. Let me then, Chair, with those notes that I've spoken to, that we are, of course, in week 26, which is I will only focus on Tuesday, 14 hours or 15 hours if it's Wednesday, that it will be a hybrid sitting. One, the first would be the condolences of motion for may her soul rest in peace of Honorable Mtaung, which will run for 40 minutes. Then it will be followed by the Portfolio Committee of Transport on Economic Regulation Transport Bill, thirdly, and its reading, second reading thereof. 4, then it will be followed by the same committee on or report on National Road Traffic Amendment Bill, the first reading and its second reading. Point 6, item number 6 of the day will be a draft notice determining the remuneration of the commissioners of the Electoral Commission of South Africa, which is known as IEC, for 2021-22. Followed by the consideration of the request for approval of international convention. If the slide may go up a little bit, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. International Convention for Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearance, known as ICPPED, from the Justice and Correctional Services Portfolio Committee, followed by the request for approval, the International Convention from the same committee on the suppression and punishment of the crime of apartheid, adopted by the General Assembly of the United Nations on the 30th of November 1973. Then followed by the consideration of the amendment to Schedule 1, 2, and 3 of the Financial Intelligence Act, Act 38 of 2001, from the Standing Committee on Finance. The 10th item for the day is the consideration of the Portfolio Committee of Social Development, the third quarter of performance on expenditure report for 2020 and 2021 of the department, and the fourth quarter performance on expenditure as well for 2020-2021 of the Department of Social Development and Agency and National Development Agency. The 11th item on the order paper will be the consideration of the report of Higher Education, Science and Technology Portfolio Committee, 2020-21 fourth quarter and 2021-22 first quarter performance of the Department of Higher Education and Training, followed by as well, which will be read as one, is 2020-2021 fourth quarter and 2021-22 first quarter financial and non-financial performance of the Department of Science and Innovation. The 11th the scheduled report would be the PC on agriculture and land reform and development on 2 items which will be read as one, oversight visit to Guangzhou farms in the Eastern Cape province on February and January 2022, as well as the oversight of the same committee on the step ward biological product in Gauteng province in April 2022. That will be the business of the day on Tuesday. Members will note that Tuesday will be quite a long day in terms of also declarations and the related matters. Then we'll move to Wednesday, which is the 28th of September, Honorable Chair. As I said, that I will only focus on the 15 hours, which is a hybrid sitting for cluster 5 economics, questions for oral reply, which will run for 180 minutes, which is 3 hours. And then on the same day, then will be for consideration, which is the second items, consideration of the Portfolio Committee of Social Development on Fund Raising Amendment Bill, and first reading and the second reading thereof. And then to bring us to the fourth item, which will be the consideration of the Portfolio Committee on Public Works and Infrastructure on the expropriation bill, which I've spoken to earlier on in my notes, and first and the second reading thereof. On Thursday, Honorable Chair and Speaker and members, which will be the 29th of September, will be the hybrid sitting, questions to the Honorable President. Friday is scheduled for 30th of September for committees. However, the meeting, I would like the meeting to note that we have requested, or we are recommending that as sitting so that it accommodates other matters that has been raised, and also going to be 80 seat, so that anything that has got deadlines in terms of its existence, then we are able to process that one through the House. And then it will bring us to the constituency period, which will start on the 3rd to the 10th of October. In closing, Chair, I will request that after having gone through due processes, then also next week we present the what you call it, the fourth quarter calendar year draft program and seek guidance, but we'll follow due processes so that also there are no blind spots. And with that, Chair, if there are any questions and we'll take up and suggestions, then we'll take up from there and the meeting will decide. Thank you so much, Chair.
No, thank you, Honorable Lesoma. I will now hand the chair back to the Honorable Speaker, who will preside over the rest of this meeting. The Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Frolik. Honorable Lesoma, I just want to make just a small proposal that we need to find a way of shortening the presentation of the programming committee report. It tends to take quite some time, and I do worry about time. For instance, it is now 10 o'clock. Maybe just to take us through those areas where when it's streamlined, the salient issues in each one of the weeks ahead of us. Thank you very much for your report. Honorable members, are there any matters you'd like to comment on with regards to the programming committee, which has been presented to us by Honorable Lesoma?
Honorable Speaker, there are 4 hands. See, it's Honorable Singh.
Honorable Singh, followed by Honorable Siviwe, and then Honorable Zagude, and then Honorable Swat, Honorable Mkalipi, in that order, honorable members.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I just want to firstly agree with you on the length of presenting the program, and I think it's not necessary for each item to be read. We can read it ourselves. Some of us do have caucuses now at 10 o'clock, and I'm on 2 gadgets currently, and I may have to leave the programming meeting. But having said that, Honorable Speaker, I think the issue of the programming and the 30th of September is becoming a bit clumsy now. You know, it's like, the end of the year when everybody rushes to put everything through. And I would like to hear other colleagues to see what they have to say about that, because we do have deadlines, but I don't think these deadlines are by Friday that we have to meet some of these requirements. So you know, I'm really concerned that we try to bring things in and then change dates when we have a framework. We have a framework for, you know, that we agree on as a joint programming committee sometimes. Secondly, on the issue of today, now, you know, this is also a bit clumsy. On Tuesday, we were presented with a draft program, which included a draft resolution. And I did raise a query that, you know, it's quite strange that we have resolutions rather than subjects for discussion. But anyway, the matter didn't reach any finality. And today we see now another items on the program. It makes it awkward for us in terms of preparing ourselves, you know, for which debate is happening. But I did raise a concern about a draft resolution being presented, you know, in a mini plenary. And the other thing we need to note, Honorable Speaker, as it is for my caucus, 5 members cannot join because of load shedding. And, you know, I think we must really carefully think this through, the mini plenaries and virtuals as we move along. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Singh. Honorable Sibiwe.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I think let me just take a quick step back. It's Honorable Speaker, as you know, members and parties are allowed to place matters for discussion on the program using mini plenaries. It's a way that has been agreed to by Parliament in order to allow for as many parties as possible and as many opportunities as possible for people to bring matters for discussion on the program. The Democratic Alliance had initially submitted the motion that is here before us that would be led by Ms. Powell. On Friday last week, we then wrote to the table, Mr. Klaso, to inform him that we have resolved to replace that motion for discussion, Ms. Powell's motion for discussion, and we've replaced it with another discussion, which is well within our rights, right? And the motion that we want to discuss today is about the establishment of an ad hoc committee insofar as it pertains to investigations relating to the Phala matter. And so this then matter was, in our view, the matter was now dealt with because we had followed the rules that should we need to change our motion, which is well within our rights, we have done so. And I do want to bring the meeting's attention to this, that there are no rules that are pertaining to the deadlines for scheduling of party motions, that they are exactly that relevant parties may decide what topic that they want debated. And our motion was tabled on Friday so that it could be placed on the order paper by Tuesday. And now Rule 1247 states that a motion has to be on the order paper at least 24 hours in terms of this rule. And so the Speaker did not disallow our motion in terms of Rule 126, as you know, one she could have on Tuesday upon receiving our motion. And so, Speaker, for us, this is really rather simple. We had a motion on the order paper, and we had submitted our motion. And as it is within our rights, we pulled the motion and said we want to replace the motion with a debate on the Phala matter on Friday. And so the discussion in the Chief Whip's Forum was a consultative one, as you know. And I even said to the parties that, look, it is our apologies that we couldn't submit this earlier, but we're still within the rules. And the apology was in the context of being courteous to my colleagues to say, apologies that now this matter, some of you are only learning about it now, but it's within the rules and what is right and what is entitled to us in Parliament. And so it makes no sense to me now. Sorry, Speaker, are you saying something? So it makes no sense, with all the respect I can muster, Speaker, to now on the 11th hour, as now Mr. Singh is raising, that now this matter is still up in the air. We have made our intentions clear. We want our motion to be debated, and we had alerted Parliament in writing on Friday and into your office as well in writing as is required. And so it makes no sense to us now why our motion cannot be on the order paper for debating this afternoon. And the notion that has been put forward by the programming whip that, you know, this does not allow parties enough time to prepare, the point is taken. But ultimately, the rules give us the right to be able to change our motion as and when we need to, as long as it pertains, as long as it's within the rules, and as long as we are able to get our motion onto the order paper at least 24 hours before. And so our motion should be debated, and we should not be stifled in terms of what we would like to debate, because I would also just like to remind the committee speaker that the reason why mini plenaries exist is so that they can allow members to bring their motions for discussion. And so in the past, where these motions were debated in the main plenary, people were not given a sufficient opportunity to have their motions through. Now we're making use of mini plenaries, and of course the mini plenary won't be able to take a decision on the question that will be before them about Phala Phala. But the reality is that we're well within our rights to debate that, and the matter can then come to Parliament as per the rules for a decision. And so can we ask Speaker today that this matter be scheduled as per our request and as it is within our rights to do so? Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kwafube. Honorable Zakute.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to apologize. I'm already in a flight. Honorable Speaker, let me start by saying that this matter was smuggled into the Chief Whip's Forum on Tuesday. None of the parties knew what the DA has brought in until at that point in time when the programming whip was presenting the program. So our concern is that, one, they submitted a subject matter for discussion in the mini plenary. That was last week already. Parties put their speakers in line. They are prepared, ready to discuss that initial motion of the DA. Then Bona, they changed their mind only for all of us to be surprised in the Chief Whip's Forum. So, Honorable Speaker, even if the rules allows for that, we know that there is this process that is underway. The matter that you discussed earlier of the panel will be assessing whether or not there is a prima facie evidence for an ad hoc committee to be established to deal with those matters. So what we see here is the DA trying to preempt those processes and to give other parties a short space of time to prepare for this debate. Hence, we are saying, Honorable Speaker, we reject this motion. The draft motion cannot be debated in the mini plenaries. We revert back to the motion that was accepted, that was adopted by the NAPC last week. That is what is going to be debated. Hence, we sign the order paper. If that is not the motion to be debated today, Honorable Speaker, I want to put it on record that as the ANC, we are going to withdraw that order paper that we signed, because we signed it based on the initial motion of the DA, not this one that they are trying to sneak in through the window. We cannot allow that, even if it's their right to change their motion, but they cannot do so within a short space of time, not giving other political parties to prepare for this. Thank you very much, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Honorable Zakute, Honorable Kalipi, Honorable Zungula.
Thank you very much, Speaker, but we must also clear some of the things that are said here. The independent panel is not going to lead the ad hoc committee. It will lead impeachment process. An ad hoc committee is a separate matter, and the two must not be confused with. Coming back to the issue at hand, Speaker, you know, the poor planning must not affect us as members. We attend this meeting of management committees in Parliament in order for all of us as political parties to have one understanding. On Tuesday, in a special meeting, the programming committee, the programming whip also tabled a program of Parliament, a proposed program of Parliament. It was only Mambo Roto who raises a concern regards to the motion of the DA, which is a draft resolution, but there was never any dissenting view to say that let us go back to what DA submitted before. Our understanding is that after that special meeting, we're to go back to our caucuses and present the program as a proposed program from the Chief Whip's Forum. Now we are told that no, this item that was submitted by DA, with our understanding as all political parties who were there in that meeting of a special meeting, now we are told on the eve that no, we are going back to the original subject to be debated today. So what are you saying about us as caucuses? As Honorable Chief Whip of the IFP saying that you are even late, we need to go and address our caucuses. Speaker, when we debate issues here, we also research on those issues. What was presented on Tuesday, our understanding is that we need to go and prepare accordingly. So now if we are also ambushed about the new item now on this program committee, we must go back and tell our caucuses, and then I don't think it is proper. Secondly, the issue of meeting on Friday is another poor planning. It must not reflect and affect us. So I will advise that the programming whip must go and get her house in order. Working on Friday, now the issues are so many. And Mambo Rote also said that on that meeting that the whole year, it is known there are issues that needs to be attended, including those issues that are before court. But towards the end of the year, we have to be bombarded and then change and chopping. We can't allow that. We have allowed it before, and then because we are told that we are leadership, we must understand the issues of importance, but this time we're not going to allow that. So they must go and do the proper planning before they come to us. That is my submission for today, but I agree with the DA. They want their motions to be debated today as per program that was also debated or presented to us on Tuesday. So today we can't be ambushed about new item on the order paper. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mkalipi, Honorable Zungula, followed by Honorable Hendricks, then Honorable Boroto.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, allow me to be in support of Honorable Mkalipi, where she states how on Tuesday there was a decision and a discussion and the caucuses had prepared based on what was agreed to. Now, it can't be that on the last minute there has to be changes, because rightfully it affects the preparations, it affects the planning, it affects a lot of things, particularly because parties would have decided who to place to debate or later on today based on the research that they have done. Now, if there are changes, that now affects the planning that has been done by the parties. Now, it can't be that the poor planning now will have to be passed over to the parties who have done their part. So allow the DA's motion to be debated today in line with their wishes as a DA. And the last thing, Speaker, I want to address is that what the DA is proposing or is submitting as a motion is not an impeachment motion. There's only one impeachment motion, which has been clarified and its process is ongoing. Therefore, what the DA is submitting is no way contradicting or supplementing or doing anything. It is a separate process. Therefore, we must not, try to make it appear as if the DA is preempting. They are not preempting, because should the panel, in fact, when the panel says there is prima facie evidence, there will be an impeachment committee, not an ad hoc committee. An ad hoc committee, rightfully, the House must in its own volition, decide what to have as an ad hoc committee based on whatever the House agrees on. However, an impeachment process is a separate process which should not be confused with the motion of today. Therefore, I don't agree with the notion that, therefore, because this issue also concerns Phala Phala, everything, any other avenue or processes of parliament must come to a stop if it is going to investigate or debate or discuss anything related to Phala Phala, because there is a pending impeachment process. That is not factually correct, Speaker. Thank you.
The next speaker.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, one cannot have multiple processes on such a very important matter, and that is the possible impeachment and the removal of the president of the country. We have put our confidence in a panel to advise Parliament, and political parties will have an opportunity to put their positions before the panel, and we should allow the panel to proceed unimpeded and not try and come with multiple processes. It looks like the Democratic Alliance can put forward replacement of the original motion, and it also seems as if the governing party has to sign an order, and there is an indication from them that they are going to withdraw and not sign the new order paper. And all this just causes a disruption to a process that is very important to the nation, and that is the panel to be given 1 month to do its work. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Hendrik. Honorable Muroto.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, having listened to all, the issue that I actually raised on the day that was in a way a dissenting voice from my side was this came as a draft resolution. And my understanding of a draft resolution is that it comes to a house and it is responded to in declarations, not in a debate. And I think maybe Mr. Kaso will have to explain to us that difference, because here we are talking about subject for discussions in the mini plenaries. Maybe let's go back and understand what, that's why I said it even the other day, that let us look at what the mini plenaries were meant for, because it states clearly on the item that was on the programming in red that it is a draft resolution. And as such, a draft resolution cannot be a subject for discussion in that manner. So I really want to put my dissenting voice based on those reasons and others that have been given. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mamroto. Honorable Papo, I don't know now, I see a wave of hands. And to be honest, I would like to close this matter now. Time is 10:20 and caucuses started at 10. All of us, all parties are supposed to be in their caucuses this morning. It is now 10:20. And the more people speak, the more others raise their hands. So my list, I had closed my list at the point where Muroto was speaking. Honorable members, if it is possible, if you will not say something different from what the other members have said, will you please lower your hands? I will allow you, Honorable Papa, because I'm raising this matter after I've recognized you. Thank you.
I was saying the last meeting of the NAPC adopted mini plenaries, which included the initial motion of the DA. The Tuesday meeting has no decision-making powers to decide. As far as the NAPC was concerned, the motion which was then changed, subsequently changed, and Ms. Mabroto objected to, is still standing, and that's the one, the programming we presented. The other motion which was presented, which was said we agreed on Tuesday, there was no agreement. This notion that we sit in a Chiefs Forum, we agree. We did not agree that there should be a change on that motion. And as the Deputy Chief Whip has placed it, they can debate it, but that debate will not be part of that debate. If they want to put a motion which is not on the order paper, we are prepared for a motion which was adopted by the NAPC on the 8th of September. That's the motion we are actually ready for to debate. And therefore, we don't see why that should be. And this meeting now affirms that motion, which was agreed to on the 8th, not this one which was brought in this week. And it said that we agreed to. We didn't agree on that motion.
Thank you very much, Honorable Papo. Honorable Swart.
Speaker, my apologies, my hand was up. I did remove it because of load shedding, but I see I'm still on the platform. May I just say very briefly that it was raised that smaller parties would be prejudiced if we were to continue with the Pala Pala issue. From our side, we are ready to debate the Pala Pala issue. We believe that the rules allow the DA to replace the mini plenary debate, and we are ready and we support their view that the debate on the Pala Pala issue should continue. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Swart. Honorable Kwahube.
Thank you, Speaker. As I will close on this now, I've noted the discontent from the members of the ANC, but it is just important to note that the parties were, in fact, all political parties. I've got an email here that was sent on Tuesday by Andrew Mbanga to all political parties, which notifies them that the motion has been replaced by the motion of the DA. So the notion that somehow because we adopted the program last week Thursday can't be changed is not based in fact, because as the rules say, we are allowed to replace our motion, which we did in writing on Friday, which was affirmed once again in writing on Tuesday. And whether or not there was discontent in the Chief Whip's Forum is neither here nor there. Ultimately, political parties have within their own right to choose a motion that they would like to debate. And on Mamburoto's point about the fact that now it's a draft, so the issue was first scheduling, now the issue is a draft motion can't serve. The reality here is that there isn't any consistency about the discontent of the ANC on this matter. One is only now left to assume that it's just a matter of not wanting the matter to be debated, because there's nothing in the rules. The technical team accepted what we sent to them. If it wasn't compliant, they should have sent back the motion and said, no, this can't be debated in a mini plenary. It was accepted by the technical team, and now we would want our motion to be debated. This is a matter on the ad hoc committee, which has nothing to do with the Section 89 inquiry. And ultimately, there are state institutions, cabinet ministers, all of these things that the House needs to concern itself about on this matter, which don't pertain to the fitness to hold office of a president. And so I plead with you to please respect the wishes of this political party that has done everything that Parliament expects us to do. So now I'm not sure why and on what basis people can hobble that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kwahube. Honorable Korenhoff, why are you raising your hand? I've just made a comment that I did cut the list after Mamoroto, but I then allowed Papo, Kwahube, and who else? And you are now raising your hand. My next speaker and the last on this matter will be Lisuma, who is responsible for programming, and after which I will then allow Mr. Castle to address us.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me first, Honorable Speaker, as correctly said, but also to say firstly that I agree with the Honorable Buroto and Honorable Dlakuti in terms of the motion on table. But let me just take your point, Honorable Speaker, that it is kind of like long when you go line by line in terms of the scheduling of items in the program. I must say that when I started, I did that, and then I was told that I'm too summative, so I'm not too sure, but I'll take your point and see, and then and see the reaction of honorable members, which also I tend to repeat myself on things that would have raised in the previous meeting. I'll take that one and be mindful of. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Secondly, Chair, I think the issue of poor planning, I'm not too sure about that, because what we do as the programming team on your behalf, Honorable Speaker, is that items get ATC'd and then we schedule them, or through the request written to yourself after you have given consent, then it gets scheduled. But it goes also after that, we put it on the draft program and present it at this forum, firstly at the technical committee, secondly at the Chief Whip's forum as a draft for engagement and reaching consensus, and at this forum. So there's nowhere there was a poor planning here. There was no technical committee this week because of a special Chief Whip's forum that sat, instead of sitting on Wednesday, it sat on Tuesday. Then in terms of the days, then there was no other day because there was a sitting in the afternoon. So I would not necessarily agree with the poor planning notion. Secondly, Chair, thirdly, we did in our last engagement on the programming, draft programming, presenting draft program, to say that in some instances there will be long hours because we don't want also to overpopulate the last quarter of the calendar year. As the committees finalize and ATC their report then are going, we will advise the committee, the programming committee, and make suggestions on that. It's got nothing to do with the poor planning, but it's what we promised we're going to do, and we're doing exactly that as recommendation before this committee. And we'll hear from your summary, Honorable Speaker, as to how then we move forward. But there was an original one. There's nothing that it's like new or also undermining the rights of various political parties. And no way. That's why I presented here in the way I presented it, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Kwahube, will you please lower your hand? Lower your hand. Thank you. Mr. Kaso?
Madam Speaker and honorable members, thank you so much. I was asked to comment on the issue of draft resolutions in mini plenaries. I do want to indicate, honorable members, that mini plenaries have been doing debates on committee reports. Those are matters that require decisions, firstly. Secondly, we've had a draft resolution in mini plenary in 2020 by Honorable Matias proposing establishment of an ad hoc committee. That has happened before. So, and the procedure is that decisions are then taken in a full plenary. So that's the first thing. Secondly, just in terms of the sequence of events, on Friday, indeed, we got the motion from the Honorable Chief of the Opposition. And at the weekend, we communicated in terms of the editing of the motion. And early in the week, we got confirmation of the replacement of Honorable Powell's motion. And the honorable member then formalized that request for replacement to the speaker. And as is custom and process, speaker then referred the matter to the Chief Whip's forum so that it can be discussed there. And indeed, it was discussed there. And of course, Mr. Mbanga would have understood the Chief Whip's forum meeting in the manner that he did, hence the reference to what he wrote to the honorable members. So, ma'am, I thought I should just clarify those technical issues. So the issue really was the scheduling of the motion, and that is a matter that is before the House today. Speaker, in terms of that aspect, of course, when there is disagreement, no consensus in the program committee, the rules do indicate a procedure that must be followed. That would require, for instance, it says where there's no consensus, the program committee, there needs to be a conversation between the speaker and the chief whip and the leader of government if a matter concerns government business. But this matter, of course, does not concern government business. It concerns the scheduling of matters before structures of parliament. That is the one issue that is being one possibility to deal with the matter. And maybe I should stop there, ma'am, because the committee now must decide in terms of what happens this afternoon and whether there's a way of dealing with it. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaso. Honorable members, may I just can please assist me? What was the discussion and what was the decision? I know the discussion. What was the decision of the Chief Whips Forum when you parted? Because I'm getting contradictory statements here. Honorable Kwahube says there was an understanding that the motion therefore will be scheduled. And Honorable Dlakude then says, no, there was no such agreement. Could I understand from all of you what was your decision? Because what was agreed upon, as you know, if matters are brought to us here in the program committee without them being thrashed out and agreed, and not necessarily agreed to, yes, at the level of the Chief Whips Forum, then we refer those matters to the Chief Whips Forum just for them to engage and sort of find one another on the issue, and then allow for the person who's going to present the programming committee whip to then present a matter here. I just need to understand, Honorable Korenhoff, I see your new hand. Are you going to respond to my question?
Yes, thank you, Speaker. I attended the Chief Whips Forum and I'm trying to answer your question that you've put now. When I arrived at the Chief Whips Forum, I came prepared with a program of Parliament, as was agreed to the previous week. When I came to the Chief Whips Forum, this new item was put in red of a replacement of the DA motion. So it was a new item on the Chief Whips Forum that I saw for the first time. I then requested one of the officials to give me a copy of this new program. Secondly, there was, to my recollection, no decision taken about this new motion. Thirdly, the Chief Whips Forum can not take a decision, they can only recommend. And to my recollection, there was no recommendation by the Chief Whips Forum on this. And fourthly, lastly, when this matter was discussed in the Chief Whips Forum, the Chief Whip of the majority party was not in the Chief Whips Forum. I hope it assists to answer your question.
Thank you very much, Honorable Korenhoff, for the clarity. Honorable Kwahube.
It's just to answer your question, Speaker, because I think we've thrashed out this enough. The discussion in the Chief Whips Forum, the programming committee, Honorable Lesuma presented the program in which she stated that the motion by the DA that was initially there has now been replaced by another motion, and we moved. And when I look here, the minutes of the Chief Whips Forum, Honorable Boroto and Honorable Frolic stated discomfort about the inclusion of this motion, and Honorable Frolic had spoken about the use of many plenaries, and that this matter was politically sensitive. But at no point was the matter rejected in the Chief Whips Forum. No decision was taken. And of course, while it's a consultative body, the reality is that there isn't and there wasn't anybody who said this matter cannot go on for these and these reasons. All that we had left was a motion that was on the table and people expressing on the record their discomfort. Then we moved on. And now it was by surprise yesterday to find that now the programming committee had now formally objected to the motion. And we can't work like this, Speaker, and we can't work to the whims of particular parties. If people follow the rules, they follow the rules, and we should be able to do what we want to do in accordance to the rules.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kwahobe. Honorable members, I'm not allowing for any further discussion on this matter now. I'll allow you, Mr. Kaso, to come in.
Madam Speaker, I wish to make this point, and my apologies if I'm stepping into other territories. The debate is scheduled for this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Clearly, there is no agreement on how to proceed with the matter. The one possibility that maybe the programming whip or the chief whip of the deputy chief of the majority party as the acting chair of the forum, but also in terms of the role of the chief whip in dealing with the program. One consideration is for this matter to be postponed, and for another slot to be found, which will then take care of the discussions that have happened today. That is one possibility. I'm just trying to see how possible to deal with the matter. And of course, another possibility is for the speaker and the chief whip to compare. And of course, the issue now is that this matter is scheduled for this afternoon at 2 o'clock, and ideally a decision should be taken in this meeting. Ma'am, that is what I wish to put forward as a way of possibly dealing with this matter.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mr. Kaso. Honorable members, I note that the chief whip or the deputy chief whip of the majority party has made it clear that they have not agreed, and therefore this matter was not included in the order paper. I also note that the matter was discussed by the Chief Whips Forum, and Honorable Kwahobe in fact suggests that none of the parties objected to the tabling of this motion at the level of the Chief Whips Forum. I will now direct the Honorable Whip of the Programming Committee to find a slot next week to allow, or any other time, today's Thursday, it's too late for this week, next week to find another session where you can allow the DA to then discuss the matter. For now, at this particular plenary, we will take forward the motion which was originally prepared for by the parties as proposed by the Democratic Alliance. Thank you. Masbulele, you have your hand again.
Ma'am, just the one point I wish to clarify, and please pardon me. The issue of motions goes according to slots. So the DA slot would have been today. So if there's another slot created next week, that may be an issue. My proposal was possible postponing debate of today and using this slot for the motion that the DA wishes the House to debate. That would have been my proposal.
In other words, it is postponement of the motion by the DA to next week to allow for the programming whip. There's no agreement right now that this afternoon should be used to discuss the motion by the DA. However, the proposal from Mr. Kaso is that we may actually, because if we allow for the DA to use the slot today, they will not have another slot for this motion which they want discussed. So today, we then do not discuss the issues, but next week we then allow for them to table the motion. I had my fears initially, and that is that the motion should not address the issues which are yet to be thrashed out by the panel. And from what I've just seen, it actually talks to a different matter altogether. But I'm hoping that in the course of the discussion will not venture into raising matters which are still a subject of this preliminary inquiry by the panel for purposes of making a determination whether the matter should be investigated further or not. That would be my appeal to all members, honorable members. I therefore propose that we reschedule the motion of the DA and allow for the programming committee whip to prepare for next week for that. Thank you very much. That brings me to the end of this particular debate on the matter. Are there any other matters on the agenda other than announcements? Announcements, Mr. Kaso?
So Honorable Speaker, sorry to come in. Are we saying then that the first item on the plenary today will be removed? Is that the decision?
For next week.
On the first mini plenary, the one by the DA, we won't do that. Is that what we are saying?
Somebody's on the floor. I don't know what's happening. Honorable Singh.
Madam Speaker.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Kaso. Mr. Kaso.
Yes. So that mini plenary will have one debate, and we would also propose that other debate be the first item. In other words, it be debated at 2 o'clock in the place of the debate of the motion by the DA. If that motion would have been the first item, that's not checked now. So in other words, the mini plenary still start at 2 o'clock at the same time, but that mini plenary will then start, if the DA one was first, that the other motion will now be the first motion, and we issue communication to that effect.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kaso. Honorable members, that brings us to the end of the programming committee, and we adjourn until next week. Thank you very much, honorable members. Thank you.
Of course, Honorable Speaker.
Recording stopped.